class, professor. Today I'd like to take a couple of minutes to speak to you about something that I feel strong about, that I believe most citizens of the great state of Texas feel strong about, and that is capital punishment. What is capital punishment? Capital punishment is sentencing someone to death for a crime that they committed. Capital punishment was introduced into Texas in 1982. The first recorded execution in Texas occurred in 1819 with the execution of a white male by the name of George Brown, who was convicted of robbery. So I ask myself this. Here we are in 2017. We all watch the news. We all know what's going on between said public and police officers. How can we stop the violence between the citizens and the police officers? Let's take St. Louis just 2 days ago. A man, a police officer, shot another man, went to court, then was found not guilty. The people exercised their First Amendment right, which turned ugly, and 4 innocent police officers were hurt. Not to go off topic, but that's where I believe that Texas steps in when it comes to protecting law enforcement. How can one take the life of a child, shoot and kill a police officer who is doing nothing more than protecting the citizens of his state? According to the death penalty information that I've gathered, the steps of putting an inmate on death row are very expensive, and I understand that. In fact, that is one of the negative traits that people figure when it comes to the death penalty. After doing some research, each death penalty case in the state of Texas costs the taxpayers about $2.3 million. That is about 3 times the cost of imprisoning someone in a single cell at the highest security level for 40 years. Although putting someone on death row is expensive, sometimes a person must be sentenced to death. Surveys conducted by Texas voters overwhelmingly support the death penalty. In fact, 73% feel very strongly of the death penalty, and the other 21 opposes. Some research that I was able to find, out of the 254 counties in the state of Texas, only 136 have ever sent a single offender to death row. When you look at that 136 class, that might be one person since 1982. I know here in Longview, here in Longview, we've put 2 people on death row. Just like other states, Texas uses lethal injection for its executions. Those under the age of 17 or lacking mental capability cannot be sentenced to death. In Texas, you have to do an offense plus another offense to even be considered as a capital offender. Texas reserves the death penalty for the most hideous crimes. For example, taking the life of a police officer, killing a child, breaking into one's home, and committing murder while in that home. Class, the death penalty is justice. It's justice for family members who lose a loved one. If you look back at all the cases that Texas has tried and sent to death row, it's because a child was killed, a firefighter was killed, a police officer was killed. I understand a lot of people don't agree with taking the life of somebody for a crime. However, if you put yourself in that family member's shoe, you would understand and you would want justice. Unfortunately, some cases calls for a person who makes a decision to commit a heinous crime to be put to death. Class, thank you for your time in this, and we will see you next week.